Ladies and gentlemen, we move on to our next leadership keynote, Cybersecurity in the Age of AI. And the speaker is Meerah Rajavel. May I request Ms. Meerah to kindly come on stage, please. She's the CIO, Palo Alto Networks USA. And a huge round of applause for Meerah Rajavel. Ma'am, the stage is yours.
Can I get the clicker? Good morning, or I should say good afternoon, 2 more minutes. I'm right at the cusp. So today, you can go to any conference. You can't get away from the conference without uttering the word AI. And, right? AI has to be. So where there is AI, there needs to be security. A new technology, new way to secure. So what I want to share with you today is, AI is something that's going to here to stay. And it's probably going to here to stay, and it's going to accelerate at the pace much faster than most of the other disruptions we have seen. How we need to prepare ourselves, because in the lieu of humanity, in the lieu of technology innovation, we really need to make sure we are getting the full power of AI, but in a very safe and in a human way. That's what I want to share with you today. A few statistics. When you think about AI, this is kind of what the world is. It took us 23 years for internet to reach 1 billion users. For mobile, it took about 16 years. And this prediction was almost 4 months old, and the prediction was AI is going to take only 7 years. The reason we said AI is going to take 7 years is, at that point in time, it's users using, but the current prediction is it's probably 5 years. It's like every single technology, every single application is embedding AI. So at some point in time, it's going to be so ubiquitous, and people are not going to talk about, are you using AI? It's like asking, do you have a UI in your application? No, every application has a UI. At the same time, a lot of us think about AI as chatbot. I mean, October 2022, that's a date we need to mark in our calendar. That's a date AI got democratized. Can someone guess what happened on October 2022? Of course, it was chatbot came. It was ChatGPT was unleashed. The unleashing of ChatGPT democratized AI. And a lot of us still think AI as a chatbot. But the reality is, it's actually in every field. The engineers are using AI. In my own organization, in Palo Alto, 6,000 engineers are using AI for code generation. Every sales and marketing person is using AI for some kind of creative content generation. You don't know, you may think that in my company I've stopped using AI. The reality is your employees are using AI for their own productivity. Yesterday I was talking to a CISO, and he said, all of a sudden my team is producing fantastic reports. I know the caliber of that guy. He cannot write 3 sentences together. He produced a 3-page report for me. We know that, where it is coming. I was reading a book recently from Salman Khan Academy, and they're the pioneer. Sam Altman, OpenAI founder, spent time with him to say, how can AI disrupt education? From the early education. So it's happening in everywhere. Why is that important? At the same time, the executive team is worried about it, right? Because you're having people using AI without knowing what is happening in the organization. That's a risk. With the usage, the risk is also going up. Second, the executives are worried about the IP of the organization, especially in certain industries. If you're a regulated industry like insurance or finance, your data is super important, or healthcare. In other places where IP is important, like technology, communication, so the executives and the board is very worried about how AI is going to be, potentially putting their business at risk. And at the same time, we are also seeing, not only for the good use, the threat actors, the adversaries are using AI heavily. Just to show you some data, look at what's happening. It's not too far ago. 2021, 2022, it's like only 2 years back. It used to take about 12 hours for someone to plan a ransomware. Today, you can go to, fake GPT, you can go to hack GPT and give a scenario how you want to plan an attack. It will give you a code. It's less than 3 hours to launch an attack. When you had something like a log4j vulnerability, it took about 9 weeks for the adversaries to plan a threat vector, an attack path to say, how can I leverage that vulnerability? Today, it's less than 1 week. And if you look at the projections with AI, everything is going to come down to minutes and hours. There used to be a notion in cybersecurity called dwell time. What it means, the threat actors coming in, sitting in your environment, waiting to see when is the right to pick the data. But if you look at the data where things are going at the light speed, nobody has to come and sit there and wait. What I call is the drive-by. They come, take the data, and go. That was true. The healthcare, United Healthcare, most of you know, it took them less than 2 hours to extract 24 terabytes of data. Less than 2 hours. It totally destroyed the economics of the business. All these are great. So, when you talk about cybersecurity, we always talk about, dark cloud and scary prediction. That's what I did right now. But you may be asking, okay, what are we going to do about it? Let's see what we can do about it. When we talk about what we need to do about it, this is the situation of any enterprise. In a typical enterprise, it's going to have hundreds of AI models. Not you need to develop all these applications. Potentially, it's going to be the applications that are used by third party. You're going to have number of, users using different models. And at the same time, we are also seeing, 80% of the LLMs that are getting released are getting into jailbroken model as well. So from our point of view, from a cybersecurity point of view, we look at 3 vectors we need to look at. 1, we need to make sure every employee is protected. And 2, we need to make sure every application is secured. To do that, the 3 pillars we look at it, how we prepare for the world of tomorrow, how we prepare for the world of AI. Pillar number 1, you need to make sure your AI is secure by design. The best part is, during the design of your applications, how you plan your workforce, you want to be secure by design. The second pillar we look at is, if adversaries and threat actors are using AI, you can't go to a battle. When someone is using, you can't go to a battle with your buckswatter when the opponent is using a bazooka. So you have to combat AI with the AI, which means how we use AI in cybersecurity to protect against the AI attack. The third is really a practitioner view, the third pillar. When you think about AI, it's a huge productivity tool. So how can we use AI as a productivity tool for the security practitioners? So I just want to walk you through these 3 areas, how we as Palo Alto Networks look at it, and how we are partnering with our customers and partners in protecting the world of AI. Let's start with securing AI by design. We all hear a lot about ChatGPT, GenAI, LLMs. In security, we believe you cannot be, 9 out of 10 times right. Precision is important. I cannot provide someone saying, you know what, I'm going to give you a recommendation. I'm pretty sure 9 out of 10 times I'm going to be right. There are recommendations we give because the customers are going to take action. We have to be 100% right. Then there are things that we can provide guidance that could be a band. So we coined the term precision AI, which means if you kind of think about AI, machine language and deep learning has been there for a longer time. And we believe that when we talk about AI, there are 3 components. Machine learning, which is really good in pattern recognition, which is really good in processing large amount of data and deriving insights out of it. Deep learning, very good for predictions. Using past data and using different patterns, very good for predictions. And then you have your Gen AI, which is actually really good for information summarization, information retrieval, productivity point of view, really getting you to the place where you need very quickly. In Palo Alto, we use all these 3 forms of AI. When you hear us saying we are using precision AI, we are using it based on the use case. What type of technique is the right technique? So using that as a backdrop, I wanted to talk about securing AI by design. If you want to secure your people, the first thing start with is visibility. What does this mean? If you don't know what your users are using, how can you secure? It's not about knowing what AI your employees are using, but it's also knowing how they are using it. So our first product, which is about AI access security, it's all about giving you a full visibility of what kind of AI is in your organization and how it is used. For example, if I'm using AI for code generation by my software engineers, or if my sales and marketing team is using AI, let's say that code generation, because most of the time, a software engineer using AI for code generation, that's your IP. You don't want this to be in the wide open, right? So you may be legitimating a certain tool to be used by everybody, then you don't want other models to be used. What you will get a chance to do with access security is you can say, what is a sanctioned application? What policies you allow? What about something like a ChatGPT, which is generic? It's one of those models that can do multifaceted thing. Do you want to shut down ChatGPT because someone can use it for code gen? Or you want to open it because it has other? It doesn't need to be black and white. You can be contextual. You can say, hey, I'm tolerating ChatGPT in my organization, but I'm going to have a policy that's going to check when somebody is using, if they are uploading my Java code, or if they are uploading my Python code, I'm going to, or if they're downloading, I'm going to stop them, right? So AI access security is having the ability to have visibility and a contextual way to control how AI has been used. The second area is, when we think about AI, we think a lot about LLMs. But the reality is there are four major components. There is an infrastructure component, there is a model, there is your data, because data is your fuel for your AI engine, then your plugins, the third-party models that you can, or third-party utilities you can put it in. There is vulnerability in all of them. The first vulnerability is when you're talking about infrastructure, you can get your prompts corrupted. If someone wants to poison you, corrupt the prompt. Or the second area is your data corruption. Third is your LLM itself. I mean, you have so many open source LLMs, and 80% of them are jailbroken. So when you're choosing LLMs, if it is one of those corrupted LLMs, that can imagine that you're using a LLM that's actually acting as an agent, customer service agent, that can literally spoil your brand by just doing wrong things. The last but not least is the plugins, right? A lot of times we think about plugins as, hey, that's a useful library that I can use, but access is important. Are you giving the plugins the right level of access? So when you think about the second, you want to make sure in the AI you have a secure posture management. And you want the security posture in all these four components. And when you're looking at the security posture, you want to have the ability to discover it. You want to have a real-time assessment. It's not only knowing what the issues are, but the ability to remediate if there is a problem in a near real time. In today's world of things happening at light speed, we think security is solvable only if it is real time, if it's AI-driven, and it has to be an integrated solution so we can see all the data, and it has to be an open interface. So now that we know what is happening, we are securing the posture, need to make sure during the runtime also it's secure. So that's the next one, which is all about securing, because you must have probably made sure everything is right, but someone can inject into your prompt the wrong thing, or someone while executing, the data could be tampered. You want to make sure that is secured as well. So the runtime is the third component from a security by design point of view. This is about protecting your app layer, protecting your data layer, and you're protecting your model protections as well. Let's move to the second pillar. The second pillar is about combating AI with AI. When threat vectors are launched from AI point of view, we have to combat it with AI. So if you look at in Palo Alto, we have three major platforms. There is a network security that's actually anchoring on anything and everything that's moving in your ecosystem. The second is your cloud. That actually has to work across multiple clouds and also your data centers. The third area is the last line of defense for you, which is your security operations center. And if you look at, we have multiple offerings, and we truly believe, as I was telling, today's security can be only solved if it's integrated. And in our world, the way we have approached this in all these three platforms, we have embedded our precision AI, which is actually over 10,000 machine language models that works across all these three platforms, and it is integrated in such a way that it can recognize attacks that are even never seen before. In Palo Alto Networks, we prevent about 11.3 billion attacks every day. We have 85,000 customers. We are kind of tackling 11.3 billion. Out of the 11.3 billion, 2.3 million attacks were everyday new attacks. I mean, this number in the last 4 years have gone up almost 20 times. The zero-day attack numbers are going up, especially in the last 2 years. It has been a steep curve with the introduction of AI. Let's look at the last pillar. The last pillar is how AI is going to serve security professionals. A lot of us over here are practitioners, so I want to get benefit from AI. And we look at, there are three areas it's going to be a significant impact. One is how it can provide information at the fingertip. I mean, if you kind of think about any security practitioner, you ask them, what is your nightmare? They'll tell you that, hey, I'm dealing with a needle in the haystack. They are just thrown with alerts, they are just thrown with incidents, and then they're asked to go and do a forensic analysis, and that is their nightmare. If we can provide them with tools, if they want to know, hey, tell me in my environment, what is the log4j vulnerabilities that are still around and which are actually connected to my critical data that I should worry about. How cool it could be if it could be summarized for them, instead of they going to 7 different places to figure it out. That's the first thing, information at fingertip. 2, helping them to navigate through the complexity of the tools itself. And last but not least, we do think that it's automation. Today, if you need to be real time, you can't just tell where the problem is, you have to solve the problem. And if I can say, hey, I'm finding this problem, tell me how to solve the problem, and if I'm okay with that, I want it to be executed in an automated fashion. That's the 3 areas we think AI can really help the practitioners to change the game, to change their world in how they can be productive and how they can be real-time in security. Last but not least, while we are talking a lot about it in INFOCOM like forums or NASCOM forums, and India in general is paying a lot of attention, and it comes down to governance. You can't forget governance. So as a practitioner, as a service provider, you really need to think about governance while you're thinking about your technology, while you're thinking about how you're doing. The governance comes down to simple things like education. It starts with AI training. You have to, first of all, what we found is in our own internal implementation, the education first need to go to the security practitioners. The first thing I heard from my team as CIO is, let's block AI because it's very dangerous. And I said, people, if you block, people will find a way to go and do it without your knowledge. So you get educated, you use AI in our own. So we used AI in our own help desk. Today, every employee in Palo Alto has their own co-pilot that was developed by IT internally. My team is comfortable, so we are actually training ourselves before we train our business. 2, establish your policy and standards. And policy and standards are super important because that will guide you how you're going to adopt the technology, what you allow, what you don't allow, how you explain to people why you do certain things and why you don't allow certain things. 3, establish it as a formal program, an intake program. In our area, what we do is actually we made it so much simple. Anybody can request for any new AI tools. They come down, we'll have a conversation with them. We'll tell them, hey, if you want write-it.ai, I have Jasper, or I have an LLM that's set up for you. Why don't you use this tool? So that actually level down the playing field for everyone. They're not afraid to come to IT because they didn't see IT as somebody who's going to stop. Rather, they saw that we are enablers. In fact, we can actually negotiate. We can actually get a better pricing for them. So I wanted to say that while you're thinking about technology, don't forget governance. That's actually important. As an executive team and as boards, they care about the most. So in summary, I would like to say, in the world of AI today, You have to really think about security and AI as a more integrated. As much as it's going to give us outcomes, it's also equally bringing threats. So think about making sure securing your AI, think about making sure that you have the right kind of AI to combat the AI attacks. 3, use it for your own advantage. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. May I request you to kindly remain on stage, please? And I'll request Mr. Somnath Guha to kindly come on stage to do the honors of felicitating Mrs. Meerah Rajavel. Mr. Somnath Guha is the Vice President, Production and Engineering, APP Group Limited.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for this wonderful leadership keynote on cybersecurity in the age of AI. It has been a privilege hearing you speak and sharing your views on this subject. Thank you very much, ma'am. We request you to take your seat